everyone, in this video we will be talking about the Industrial Revolution, which started in Great Britain. Throughout the lesson we will be identifying the causes and effects of the Industrial Revolution, and we will also be summarizing the role of economics in driving political changes that led to the Industrial Revolution. By the time that we are done with this lesson, you will be able to describe how the Industrial Revolution impacted societies. So how did we go from living in these rural communities where we had to farm and make everything ourselves to working in factories and living in these overcrowded and polluted cities? Well, life in England before the Industrial Revolution was very, very different. 8 out of 10 people worked in the countryside. They depended on subsistence farming. That means that they grew just enough crops for themselves, and if they had a little extra, they could sell it for a small profit. Most of the products were created at home, and we call these cottage industries, and things were of course made by hand. There were no machines to help make mass production of goods. So things like buttons and cloth and bread, those were all produced in homes. Products tended to be very expensive and also labor intensive. It took a lot of time to make things by hand, and so you sell that for a good profit because it takes you time and resources to make these. So if you think about it, how many objects do you have on you, or can you see in the room that you are in right now, that are made by hand? I'm sure that you might have 1 or 2 things, but for the most part, things that we have today are mostly produced in factories. Right? So this is what a cottage industry would look like. Everyone in the family helped, and everything was made at home. In the picture you can see that they're weaving cloth here with this spinning wheel, and everybody has a role and everybody is helping out. So before the Industrial Revolution, we experienced an agricultural revolution. First, it started with enclosing land. Wealthy landowners began to use fences and hedges to keep their land secure so that other people could not come farm on their land. And we also see the development of new farming techniques, things like using fertilizer or crop rotation so that you maximize the amount of food that you can grow. During this time, the seed drill is invented, which is a machine that allows for seeds to be planted in neat little rows, and as a result, more seeds could sprout. They also use crop rotation. So what they would do is they would rotate the fields in which they planted crops, because if you continue to plant crops every single season, the soil will be depleted of the minerals, and so you need to give that soil time to rest. So you would have one field that would rest and one field that you would use for crops, and then switch them out the following year. This maintains the fertility of the field. The agricultural revolution had a very important impact on society in Great Britain. As a result of this revolution, we see more output from farms, so more food will be available, and people will also lead healthier diets. They'll be well fed and they'll get the nutrients that they need. This leads to an increase in population as well. We also see the development of machines that are going to help improve textile manufacturing. The spinning jenny, which is the machine that you see here, allows for this faster spinning of fiber so that you can make cloth a lot quicker. We also see the development of the cotton gin, which was invented by Eli Whitney, and this allowed for the production of more cloth as well, because you could separate the cotton from the seeds a lot faster through the cotton gin than you could by hand. And then of course the steam engine, which is basically a new source of power. This was created to use coal to produce steam, and then this engine was attached to machines like the spinning jenny, and that made them run a lot faster. And eventually these steam engines will be put into factories. So the results of this is the Industrial Revolution, which actually starts with the textile industry. The first factory is a textile factory, and in this factory you'll find these new inventions like the spinning jenny and the steam engine. Products are made quickly, and these huge buildings then are created to house a lot of machines and a lot of workers. Owners in these factories were not concerned about the well-being of their workers. There were plenty of people that could replace a worker if they got sick or injured on the job. So the Industrial Revolution actually takes place between 1740 and 1914. The word industrial means organized economic activity connected with the production, manufacture, or construction of a particular product or range of products. The word industrialization means that you introduce industry to an area on a very large scale. And so the word revolution means a dramatic change in ideas or practice. The Industrial Revolution means that you are changing from making things at home, and the drastic change is that you are going to make things in factories. So the reason why the revolution started in Great Britain is because it had all of the things needed for a revolution to take place. Great Britain had a lot of land that had coal, and coal was necessary, a necessary natural resource to power the steam engine. So thanks to that natural resource available in Great Britain, the revolution can start there. Also, there was a large population. Thanks to that agricultural revolution and the availability of food. A large population means you have a lot of workers available to work in your factories, and you also have a lot of people to purchase your finished goods. And then we also have a lot of capital. That means wealth. They have a very strong economy, and you have people who have money, and they can invest it into these new industries. So people began to migrate from rural to urban communities. Rural means countryside, and urban means city. So they start moving to the cities in search of work. And this leads to overcrowding and a lot of pollution in the cities because too many people are living in small spaces, and they're not very environmentally conscious, so they dump their trash into the streets, and the factories also produce a lot of waste and smog that make the cities polluted. So living conditions, of course, are unsafe and unsanitary. There is a lot of disease, and the overcrowded cities are perfect for spreading diseases. You also see that there's high infancy deaths, so a lot of children die young in these cities. People need to find somewhere to live, and since there's not a lot of space to expand outward, they're going to try to expand upwards. And so they create these crowded tenements, which are apartment buildings where dozens of families can live in very small spaces. They have an improper sewage system, so there's a lot of human waste in the streets, making it very unsanitary. And fires are a problem because there are no building codes. Things are all made of wood, so if one building catches fire, it's so close to the other that the building will spread. The fire will spread quite quickly. Working conditions are, of course, abhorrent in these factories. There is no job security. They could fire you at any time for any given reason. The work is unsafe. There are no regulations as to what jobs you can perform or what precautions you need to take so that you don't get hurt. People are subjected to long hours of work. They work from sunup to sundown in most factories. There's very little pay for the work that they do. Children are used as workers as well because they don't need to be paid as much as adults. No breaks are offered, and most of the time people work 6 days a week and only rest 1 day a week. We also see that social classes are going to be really stratified. Wealthy business owners are at the top of the social class, and they exploit the poor industrial workers, and they adopt a survival of the fittest mentality. So they think that it's perfectly okay to take advantage of people who are uneducated and unskilled. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. In class, we are going to do an activity so that you can see more of the effects of the industrialization, and we will continue with that with the following lesson as well. So if you have any questions, make sure that you bring them to class, and thank you for watching.